Okay. Just going to reset this. Okay. Check, check. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Pretty impressive if you ask me. Featuring, what is this? Featuring, there we go. The, like cutscenes, basically. Like full motion video taken straight out of the first game. That's pretty impressive. Whoops. Okay. I'll narrate it. I don't know if people would prefer me to not to or not, but I mean, I might as well if I'm gonna be here, right? It's been a while since I've taken a vacation. I am driving my Jeep, heading towards the quiet resort town of Silent Hil. The sound of the engine reverberates in the darkness. Due to some slight car trouble earlier, it has become this late. I am Harry Mason. I am a run-of-the-mill writer. Her eyes closed, Cheryl sleeps peacefully in the passenger seat. Cheryl is my daughter. She is cheerful and lively, and the occasional carefree smile she shows me make me feel happy. I don't have very many relationships with people because of what I do for a living, so Cheryl's existence has become irreplaceable to me. Cheryl was very much looking forward to this trip. Although paved, this is still very much a mountain road. At this hour, there is little reason for any other drivers to be about. I push in the accelerator. There is no light off in the darkness. I could depend only on my headlights. Light reflects off the rear view mirror. It's a motorcycle. There is a motorcycle headed toward the same destination as we are at terrific speed at this late of hour. With a roar, the motorcycle effortlessly passes by the side of my Jeep. The seal of the police. Perhaps there's been an accident or something, but I don't recall hearing about an accident or anything on the radio. Cheryl is sleeping. The child should not be awake at this hour. I wonder if she is dreaming about something. Tomorrow I have planned to take her to the amusement park. Maybe she's dreaming about riding the merry-go-round. I glance over at Cheryl's sleeping face and then return my eyes forward. The lighted area of the road almost appears to be belched out from the darkness as it moves toward me. Huh? Something enters my field of view. It's the motorcycle from just before. It is lying on its side on the shoulder of the road. No doubt about it, it's the same motorcycle that just passed me. There is no sign of the driver. It looks like the driver smashed into the surface of the rocks by the side of the road. shit, I forgot to send out the link. It looks like the driver smashed into the surface of the rocks by the side of the road while trying to avoid some kind of obstacle, and thus that part of the motorcycle has been destroyed. I carefully check the way in which my vehicle is headed. However, I don't see anything that could be an obstacle to my advance in the area illuminated by the headlights. A strange atmosphere creeps in around me. The radio reception begins to become erratic. Perhaps I should turn back, but my foot persistently pushes down the accelerator with no intention of letting off. You can no longer turn back now. Something murmurs within me. Please, increase your speed some more. Someone murmurs within me. Cheryl's eyes are closed. She is dreaming. I know that I should be awake. But what is this uneasy feeling? I feel as if my body is not totally my own. It's like some strange being that is not me, is controlling me, like I am floating. My eyelids are heavy. As the steering wheel leaves my hand, it creates the illusion of setting the course on its own. Freezing cold, uneasiness, almost like being ready to fall asleep. I am just barely conscious, and now at my limit to maintain even that. When I saw the human figure on the road, I cut the wheel hard, and then there was nowhere else for my Jeep and I to go but down into the darkness below the cliff. Yeah, that's better. The silence pierces my ears. As the wind blew, it was accompanied by piercing cold. Where am I? I can feel light faintly passing through my eyelids. I don't seem to be hurt. That much is clear to me because I don't feel any pain in my body. No, perhaps I've suffered an injury that doesn't cause any pain. I slowly try opening my heavy eyelids. Out-of-season snow is pouring into the town. Other than the sound of droplets of ice hitting the ground, there is nothing else to be heard. Silent Hil. That is what is assuredly written on the sign by the side of the road. Without realizing it, Cheryl and I have reached our destination. All my memories up to that point are gone. The wind is blowing in. When I take a look next to me, I am shocked. The passenger door has been left open. Cheryl is nowhere to be seen. Silent Hil, this town, which should just be a resort area, appears to have become just like a ghost town for some reason. Or maybe it was waiting for us to arrive. Or perhaps the town just nestled up to us. So now I am alone, Cheryl is not here. While I was sleeping, no. While I was knocked out, Cheryl opened the passenger door and stepped out alone into this tourist spot that is ruled by an unsettling silence. And then she left me to head somewhere. I tightly closed my jacket around my neck and set off on foot in search of Cheryl. I wonder what in the world happened here. Nothing makes any sense. The silence, the out-of-season snow, and strangest of all, the entire town is wrapped in a thick fog. I begin to run. Only the sounds of my footsteps echo in the surroundings. Just where in the world has Cheryl gone? Did someone lead her away? Various concerns run through my mind. I suddenly get the feeling that I heard footsteps other than my own, so I stop moving right away to check it out. Through the thick fog, I could see a figure that is about the size of a child. Cheryl? Without a thought, I cry out. The figure doesn't move at all. At the moment, I begin to move slowly towards the figure. It starts to run. I fiercely chase after the figure. That's definitely Cheryl. Even though it is faint, I would not mistake someone else for Cheryl. However, no matter how much I run, I cannot catch up. Instead, the figure is gradually getting farther away from me. The figure puts on speed as if it is gliding through the air. The figure appears to be absorbed by the fog as it begins to disappear. In order not to lose it, I run with all my strength while keeping my vision centered on the figure. I then notice that I have come to an alley surrounded by buildings. I don't know how, but it is like a cover was placed over the sky, which had provided light until now, and the area has become engulfed in darkness. From the darkness, I can hear multiple footsteps coming this way. I've got to get away, but I can't go back the way I came because that eerie presence is back there. So I move further in. I can only move gradually through the narrowing pitch-black alley by feeling around with my hands. But I only end up reaching a dead end. Metal fences surround the area, and they are so high that I don't think that I can climb over them. They are coming from behind. I stood ready. What are they? With beast-like rage, they have closed in to right where I am. And then my vitality is sucked away by these strangely shaped monsters until I finally lose consciousness. Cybil Bennett. She's a full-time police officer working in the neighboring town of Brams. There was no one else in the cafe other than her and Harry. She took a seat at the counter and waited for Harry to waken. I suddenly awoke. Where is this place? Why am I here? Was I brought here by someone? There is no boundary between dream and reality, just confusion. As I lay on the bench seat in the cafe, my eyes slowly begin to focus. The woman sitting at the counter stands and folds her arms. She walks over and looks down at me. She is wearing a police uniform. The woman smiles a little bit as she appears to be relieved that I have gained consciousness. It looks like you have come around. Who are you? I try talking to the unfamiliar woman. I'm Cybil Bennett. I'm here because all communication with this town suddenly went dead, and so I came to investigate. I'm Harry Mason. I brought my daughter to this town for some sightseeing, but on the way there was an accident, and I lost consciousness. Oh yeah, Cybil, you haven't seen a little girl in this town, have you? A little girl? No, I haven't seen her. When I came to after the accident, my daughter was nowhere to be seen. The passenger door was open, and she was gone. Cheryl. Sorry, my daughter's name is Cheryl. She is a timid person, so it is hard to imagine that she would head out into this weird town alone. Plus, I was there in the driver's seat. And since she gave me no warning, it just doesn't make sense. Are you familiar with this area? There is no sign of anyone. And what is going on with the snow at this time of year? Just what in the world has happened in this town? I said all of this while breathing deeply. I'm afraid I don't know either. I still haven't seen anyone other than you. It's like the town is as silent as a graveyard, left without even the means to contact any neighboring towns. I see. You also had an accident, right? I thought it was a good idea to head to the police station in this town alone on my motorcycle, but I guess I was going a little too fast. A girl suddenly jumped out into the road. I'm pretty sure it was a girl. I almost hit her. I cut the handlebars hard in order to avoid her. After that, I can barely remember anything. When I came to, I was lying in the street in front of this cafe, so naturally, I came in here to get out of the snow. And then, I found you sleeping there. I was having some kind of a terrible dream. As for if I made it here on my own, I don't remember at all. Just what in the world has happened in this town? What is going on with everything? Well, the situation is definitely strange. I will head back to Bram's for reinforcements, and then return here. How about you? Cybil stood and fixed her collar with resolute fortitude. I've got to look for Cheryl. There is no way I can just leave her here alone. I see. Well, I'll give you this then. You never know what might happen under these circumstances. If you feel threatened, then pull the trigger without hesitating. I take the gun into my hand. Thanks. I hope I don't have to use it. Having never handled a handgun before, I am surprised by how heavy it is. But will you be alright? I'm not like the average girls around here. I've undergone proper training. Cybil placed her hand on the exit door, but then she turns and faces me again. Harry, don't go shooting me by mistake or anything. I haven't had any training on how to stop bullets. She smiled after saying this, and then disappeared into the thick fog. After being left alone in the cafe, I gazed at the handgun Cybil gave me for a little while, and then I thought about Cheryl, who had disappeared in this town. The figure I saw in the fog, that was definitely Cheryl, but she didn't answer my calls, and she was quite possibly moving away from me. I don't understand. I am getting a bit mixed up. Still, the one thing I know for sure is that Cheryl has vanished in this town. All I can do is look for her. I may not have any knowledge of the surroundings or any clues, but I won't find Cheryl if I just stay here. I stood up energetically and placed my hand on the cafe door. Something is making noise. What is that noise? I look around the cafe. I walk in the direction that the noise is coming from, and then I pick up the source of the noise. Radio. At that moment, the window glass shattered with a thunder, and a giant bird-like creature flew into the cafe. No, it is not a bird. It is a creature with reddish-brown skin that looks as if it has been burned. In its belligerent pale green eyes, it is clear that my life is in danger. Damn. I firmly held the handgun that I just received, quickly pointed it at the creature, and pulled the trigger. I am not used to using guns, so some of my shots hit the ceiling. I limit my aim. That's it. I must set my aim, its body. When it spreads its wings at that moment when its body is undefended, I will. It swings its large arm-like wing down at me, and using that weapon, it just misses my neck. This is my chance. The target is its body. Mumbling, I tell myself that. However, I can't fix my aim very well. My hands are shaking. As my third shot pierces it, it finally lost its life force and fell to the floor like a rag. What the hell? This is not a dream. What's happening to this place? Only the sound of my fist hitting the table echoes in the cafe. At my feet, the still warm corpse of the creature lies in the center of a pool of oddly colored liquid. After leaving the cafe, I decided to first head toward that alley from before. Black figures fly about in the heavens as if searching for prey. I then come to realize a constant. The static on the radio changes based on their movements. The closer the monsters come to me, the louder the static gets. My sight is hindered by the fog, and on top of that, the weather is so bad that snow is falling. So this is extremely important information. I run through the snow that appears to have no intention of stopping. Increasing my speed each time the static comes in on the radio, I proceed into the fog. Following the thin thread of my memory, I finally arrive at that alley from before. The evil atmosphere has dissipated, and light pours in along with snow from in between the buildings. I move into the alley, and it dead ends after a bit. At the end of the alley, I see a familiar sketchbook that appears to have been thrown away. The likeness of me that Cheryl drew is on the cover of the sketchbook. This is definitely Cheryl's. I try opening it. Inside, the following is written in red ink. To school. Along 11th Street, I slip through the back door of a house that had a doghouse, and then head for the school. The surroundings gradually fill with darkness, and only the flashlight on my chest illuminates this strange street. I pass through the entrance to the elementary school grounds. When I open the door that leads into the school building, I see that even more darkness is waiting for me inside. It is possible that Cheryl scribbled those letters to school. I can't be sure whether Cheryl is here or not, though. It's just that I haven't had a clue other than that sketchbook. A guide map of the school has been tacked to the side wall of the entrance with a rusted thumbtack. After removing the map from the wall, I place it in my pocket and push open the heavy door that leads into the interior of the school building. My footsteps and the creaking of the hallway, they sound like screams as the reverberations rock my eardrums. I had been walking carefully, step by step, but without realizing it, I had began to run. There is no sign of anyone. The silent innards of the school building are dark, and with only the flashlight on my chest, it is impossible for me to see any of the details. Cheryl doesn't have a flashlight, so if she came in here and got lost, then she probably wouldn't even be able to walk around. Since I have my flashlight turned on, she should be able to notice me easily. At least, I have that modest hope. I then notice that I have come to the entrance to the music room. I place my hand on the heavy door. When I open the door, I see that the inside of the room is large, and there is a grand piano placed in the center. As I sit on the chair of the piano, I am shocked. The seat is still warm, as if someone had just been sitting there just a few minutes before. Cheryl's smile runs through the back of my mind. Cheryl often played the cheap upright piano in our home. It had become nice background music when I was working. Perhaps Cheryl had come to the music room. I gently open the cover over the piano keys. I notice that there is red mixed in among the black and white. I try touching the liquid. It has a lukewarm feel. It is still holding heat. It is definitely blood. My heart pounds in my chest like an alarm bell. The large amount of blood spilled on the keys. If this is Cheryl's blood, then she may no longer be alive. I wipe the stain off my hands onto my jeans, stand, and leave the music room. At the same time I closed the door, I thought I heard someone scream. Maybe it was just my imagination. I walked down the hallway. The sleety mixture of snow pounds hard against the windows facing the courtyard. I take a look through a window down at the dark courtyard. The not-so-large courtyard is dotted with areas in which withered plants are growing. In addition to that, an old clock tower is faintly visible. From here, I cannot determine what time the clock is pointing to. Wait. Something appears to be wriggling about in the darkness. An animal? No. It's dark, and I can't see so well, but it is slowly moving on two legs. It appears to be searching for prey. At that moment, the radio I had clipped to my chest suddenly began making noise. As I return my sight to the hallway, a sharp pain runs through my thigh. When I look down, I see that the tips of those long claws are piercing my thigh. Those oddly shaped monsters. They are posed like they want to hug me and have gathered around my waist. They are about to bite me. I instantly push the monster away with my hands. With my right hand, I push on its head apart with force and knock it away. It then totters and falls down on its face. That was when I noticed that I had been completely surrounded by these monsters. I ready the gun, I fix my aim on their heads and pull the trigger with my trembling index finger. I continue to shoot as each one of them appears. The smoke from the gunpowder began to fill the air around me, so I placed one hand over my mouth. Even after the noise from the radio had stopped, I could only stand there, paralyzed in utter amazement among their corpses. Is Cheryl all right? She shouldn't have been carrying anything that could be used as a weapon. I begin to run. I can't just stand around. There is not a moment to lose. Cheryl is waiting for me. Wait a minute. Suddenly my vision became hazy or something, and I rub my eyes. When I look back, I see that all the bodies of the monsters have unexpectedly vanished What? Was I hallucinating or something? I pulled a guide map out of my inner pocket and shined the flashlight on it. I then confirmed that there is a boiler room located in the basement. My feet naturally began to take me there. I descend the stairs to the basement, taking one step at a time. A school building without light. As I move forward, I am beset on all sides by absolute darkness. As I head towards new fear and new enemies, my feet have no intention of stopping their advance. But oddly enough, I don't have a sense of justice. I just want to make sure that Cheryl is safe, to catch her in my arms. That is my only goal. The boiler is not running. If I simply press the switch in front of me, then this eerie machine should begin operating. However, I just stand still. I try pushing the switch, but the boiler doesn't do anything at all. So I try opening the switchboard cover below the switch. It appears that I must somehow supply power from the main power supply to the boiler. The power supply is on the right. From the left of the switchboard, a thick pipe extends out and is connected to the boiler. I see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would not work. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Got it. I have an instinctive feeling that by pushing this switch, that something outrageous may happen. Although at the same time, I also notice my daughter Cheryl's scream run through my heart, like a sense of duty that makes me feel that I must push the switch. I slowly push the switch in. The entire school building shudders as if it were a giant ship. The entire elementary school building appears as if it has been swallowed by Cheryl's heart as she stands alone in the darkness. I understand that I must do something. To the courtyard. The darkness softly whispers to me, to the courtyard. The clock tower looks to be about tall enough to reach the 3rd floor of the school. At its base, there is a small door about big enough for an adult to enter while bent down. The door solemnly opened. After opening, the door seems to beckon the one standing in front of it, and enters with an irresistible mental energy. I cannot resist that power. As I enter the door, the door closes with a hopeless thunder. Inside the clock tower, a physiologically loathsome stench hung in the air. However, the smile of my beloved daughter in my heart lessens my uneasiness and lets me forget my fear, if even for only a moment. Reassured, I place my foot on the ladder leading underground. With my greatest motive, called love, The inside finally became a small passage about large enough for an adult. I run. Trusting that I will see her smile ahead, I run forward, stomping on concrete stained with the smell of death. Once I climb the ladder at the end of the tunnel, there will be no going back. I mutter Cheryl's name one more time. The depressing sound of the door closing echoes throughout the courtyard. Where am I? A raw, warm breeze brushes past my cheeks. The view lets me know that this is like a completely different world from the school I was just in. Once again, I think, where am I? I descend the small stairs leading away from the clock tower and become even more convinced. An extremely religious-looking design has been drawn in the center of the courtyard. Within a large double circle, a triangle has been placed, and within that, a strange pattern that looks like hieroglyphics is drawn. I don't remember this being here before, I mutter. This is definitely the school I was just in, though. The placement of the trees, the construction of the building. However, an overpowering feeling of nausea rises up through my body. A revolting, horrible smell like that of the stench of cutting into rotten meat thickly wafts throughout the air and is nearly visible to the eye. I begin to run. I can no longer bear to stay in this spot. By the time I place my hand on the door that leads inside the school building, I no longer have the strength left to tell how long I was running. Maybe it was only for an instant. The school building has dramatically changed. Metal-grated floors, blood-covered walls, corpse-like puppets hanging everywhere. It's like a nightmarish scene in which everything is isolated from the real world. In spite of that, I run. I am searching for Cheryl. The unpleasant metallic sounds of my footsteps resonate throughout the inside of the school. And then I open the door to the teacher's room. Perhaps the door is not installed correctly, as it took me several forceful tries to force it open. Once I enter the room, I am shocked. Desks are strewn about, and a raw, rotten stench rules the room. I call home, where nobody should be. Without knowing why, I dialed my home number, where no one should be. Maybe there's a chance that Cheryl has already returned home. Within slight hope, The phone is ringing. The mechanical electrical sound repeats over and over, then all of a sudden it stops. Hello? Hello? The voice of a man I do not know escapes from the receiver. Hello? Who is this? From the receiver I hear a gasp. The phone went dead. I stood bewildered for a bit with the receiver pressed against my ear. There is a man in my house where no one should be. A man I don't know. I gently hang up the receiver, and for a bit I am captivated by that blue telephone. I begin to leave the room. My heart rapidly contracts. The mechanical bell sound echoes throughout the room. I nervously approach the telephone and once again pick up the receiver. Daddy? Help me. It's Cheryl. There is no mistaking it. I firmly press the receiver against my ear. Daddy, where are you? Cheryl? Is this Cheryl? At that moment, Cheryl's voice is replaced with a busy signal. I knew it. I think. Cheryl is here. Being located in the residential area, many children probably come to this school. The interior of the elementary school is larger than I had imagined, including classrooms. There are a lot of rooms, so locating Cheryl will be extremely difficult. If Cheryl wasn't brought here by someone and instead came here of her own free will, then perhaps she might be, quote, that one room. I spin around, run to the stairs at the end of the hall, and then sprint up them. I have come to the library, and my eyes are drawn to the open book. It was I picked up the book and see an abstract illustration of a youth carrying a bow and arrow on its cover. Someone has just been reading this book. I begin to read the book from the beginning of the page. It was left open to in a quiet voice. Hearing this, the hunter, armed with bow and arrow, said, "I will kill the lizard." But upon meeting his opponent, he held back, taunting, "Who's afraid of a reptile?" At this, the furious lizard hissed, "I'll swallow you up in a single bite." Then the huge creature attacked, jaws opened wide. This is what the man wanted. Calmly drawing his bow, he shot into the lizard's gaping mouth. Effortlessly, the arrow flew, piercing the defenseless maw, and the lizard fell down dead. This is from an old fairy tale. I remember reading it as a kid. As I say this, I take a step back as if I had realized something. Wait. I become gripped with the sense that my actions have been controlled by someone this entire time. Coming to the library, seeing that specific page in the open book, even whatever it is that I must do now, it is a decision that is out of my hands. Everything that has happened has been in someone's hands. I have gradually come to understand this. Even still, I probably cannot determine my own course. I accept the direction of the unseen one, to whom I must obey. In order to find Cheryl, there is no other alternative. I now know where it is that I need to go. As I journey there, I walk firmly, stepping forward one step at a time. I descend a staircase from which uncomfortably warm air flows, and find an elevator as its base that invites me to descend even further, as its doors slowly open. Once I enter, its doors close, and in the next moment, with a rusty clunk sound, the elevator begins to descend at a high rate of speed. Just how far down is this going? All I can do is go with the flow. Gradually, the elevator and I are enveloped in hot, humid air. The elevator stops, and I step off as its doors open. Beyond, a short passage, a dazzling light emitted from a small room. A small room which has been waiting for my arrival. In the center, the fires of hell burned, and everything made it look like this room was meant for prayer. And then, it was there. It slowly moved around the enormous sconce from which flames and ash rose. The lizard looks to have suddenly mutated. Its outer shell is a mucous membrane type. It just stares at me, and with surprisingly comfortable speed, it looks for a chance to attack. Here, I fired the gun at the large body. Smoke and powder emit from my handgun. I am certain that I hit it. However, those armor-like scales more than fulfill their purpose. This isn't effective at all. This is no good. I need to make my bullets hit somewhere softer. At that moment, a part of my memory was suddenly awakened, definitely in the library. I remember that book I just picked up not too long ago. Its contents run about in my head. While paying very close attention to the movements of my opponent, I recall its passages. Effortlessly, the arrow flew, piercing the defenseless maw, and the lizard fell down dead. All I can do is draw my opponent closer. Each bullet that hits its body only seems to increase its strength. I am running. My entire body is soaked in sweat. The heat from the flames and the large amount of perspiration are working together to rob me of my emotional strength. And then my feet finally get tangled and I fall to the bone-dry floor with a thud. My supply of bullets is running out. This is my limit. I turn around. Its enormous mouth is there, measuring about 4 meters and open in all directions. It was only for an instant, but I thought of that passage again. The arrow flew, piercing the defenseless maw. Okay. I can no longer hesitate. I readied the gun as calmly as possible, aimed at the inside of its mouth, and quickly pulled the trigger. Over and over, over and over, the sound of gunshots rang out from my weapon for as long as I had ammunition. And then I lost consciousness. When I came to, I found myself in the middle of a dark room. Where is this? I wondered to myself. The monster from before has vanished. I heavily stood up and then waited motionless for a bit until my eyes came into focus. Somehow this looks to be the boiler room. It is oddly quiet. Maybe I was dreaming. My very exhausted body seems to have also recovered somehow. The low hum of the boilers strangely calms my nerves. And then I sense the presence of a person, and I shift my gaze. There was a girl standing there. She was wearing a dark blue clothing, and her instant brown hair was neatly combed. The girl was just staring at me. Once I noticed her and began to step towards her, she completely disappeared, as if her body just dissolved into the air in the room. I was alone in the room again. What was that? A strange feeling of relief. After standing for a bit, I let out a long breath and then placed my hand on the door at the entrance. Sunlight is shining into the hall of the school building. As usual, the snow is still outside, but I am gripped with a strange feeling of relief, as if cancerous cells had just been removed from me. Filled with relief, I slowly walk toward the exit of the school building, and then I learn that Cheryl is not here, from the loud sound of the church bells that seem to call out to me. Alright, we're gonna end it there, because it's midnight now, and I'm getting pretty tired. So we're going to continue this tomorrow. Okay, I think it does save there. Yeah, it does. Yeah, alright. So thanks for joining, guys. I appreciate it. Have a good night and God bless.